So now we're on hot topics, and the first is Gaza-Israel war.
No, now we're going to do Alan.
Well, that's right. I forgot Alan. Alan, yes, we were going to you. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'll be happy to be considered a hot topic. And certainly the Gaza war is much on my mind, and it has brought me to the view that the atrocity of this situation really presses people to see the futility of war, that the whole war system is revealed as so backward, so 20th century or something. And so I put forward a statement, end the whole war system. And I think, and I thought that it is really for civil society now to enter the picture in a more unified and affirming way, to call the war powers to put down the gun and come to the table, actually to talk about peace, a restructuring of the global situation in some humane way that we've been preaching about since Jane Addams and long before. And that this absurdity of genocide and just, it's all too sad. It should be, so then I put forward that we should join all our networks as best we can to reaffirm the Hague Appeal for Peace of 25 years ago and carry it in some way to the next step of a world gathering of all of civil society, and first in our national groups and then in our regional groups, and then in some global way in the month of May, and have as our mission, put down the guns, come to the table to talk in all the war zones, certainly Gaza, and we should just put that out right now, and they should do it immediately. But anyhow, it seems civil society was a powerful force at the Iraq war, and somehow it has been dissipated, and this is maybe the time 25 years later. I did call Cora about this. She said, well, it's a great idea, and find the young people to do it, which I have not really found. I put out a letter to the Center of Interest, certainly from Robin Lloyd with her victory up there. And so I just put out these two documents again that I sent to the committee. And I think somehow we should do this, and through all our networks, all our friends, somehow see everywhere in America, all the peace groups get together by May at least, and then see regionally, and then see by the end of May. And maybe all this should just be a lot faster than that. But the Hague Appeal for Peace was 25 years ago in May of this year. And it was a great effort, and their documents and themes and all that are well worth recollection. And maybe at the time of the UN meetings, people can go across the street and see if there's any documents left there. I have not been successful in getting into the archives of the Hague, but during the New York meetings, perhaps people will find a way to find what's available in the old groups and the new groups and everybody, and it's enough. And this whole war system is crazy, and it should just stop immediately. So that's a hot topic. And I don't know, I just put out those two documents, and I would appreciate if people would read them, make them better, improve them, transform them. WILPF and Fellowship of Reconciliation and War Resisters League and Friends Service Committee, some major organizations could accelerate this, but I would hope that maybe WILPF in whatever ways would say, okay, let's just everybody get together, and this is the time, and it's been long enough. So, hot topic.
Okay, I see Cheryl has her hand raised. So Cheryl?
Yes, I just want to say we have been joined by a person called Bonnie Graham, who I must say I don't recognize. Could you just briefly say where you're from, Bonnie, and then I'll say what I wanted to say about Alan's topic? You're muted.
Still muted.
We can't hear you. Can you see where you're muted?
The lower left-hand corner, Bonnie.
Thank you. I got it. I got it. Yes, I'm from Colorado.
You're
Welcome.
in one of our branches in Colorado, or you're just a member at large?
I'm a member at large right now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So now I will come back to what Alan has sent us, and I did just print them out, take a quick look. Alan, this is the kind of meeting that takes 2 years to arrange. Okay. I know you've been talking about it for a few months and we haven't done anything. World Beyond War is a large coalition. I believe they claim 200 organizations. They are trying to do this, well, they are doing this No to NATO event in Washington, D.C., just before the NATO has its 70th anniversary. The diplomats have their anniversary. We're trying to get people there to show that we're not happy about NATO. And in fact, WILPF's position is that WILPF US is that we should not, NATO shouldn't exist, and and US shouldn't belong to it. So I would say, you know, then there are a lot more groups now than there used to be 25 years ago. If you look at Abolition 2000, they reckon they have 2,000 organizations have signed on to Abolition 2000, because you've got small organizations. You know, this small town in Kansas has a group, has signed on, and then you've got the big WILPF, Code Pink, and so on. So, you know, I appreciate your sentiment here, and I don't know who else. You know, at the bottom you say, please respond right to me. Okay, so you've sent it now to the Disarm Committee, and the active members of Disarm are sitting here now. So I would say send it further afield, and I'd like anybody else who has, you know, does somebody actually want to join right now with Alan on this, or have a comment? Thank you.
I have a comment. Peace Action in Massachusetts is a good coalition of at least 60. It's probably a lot more now. I would contact Cole Harrison or someone else, maybe Brian Garvey, his assist, and ask to talk with them, Alan.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to just respond.
Go ahead. Robin?
Well, then you muted yourself, Robin.
Yeah.
Okay, I attended the Hague Appeal for Peace. It was a very moving experience. In fact, I brought a couple of young people from the local high school all the way over to Holland to take part in this. It was, as I say, very moving. I just think now that to try to explain to young people, and the only young people I'm involved with are the Democratic Socialists of America, a team here in Burlington, Vermont. You know, it's you have to explain the history and everything, whereas I think Cheryl just pointed out that David Swanson's organization is planning, and we are planning something big around the time of the NATO event, and that's in early July. And I think if we could merge this interest with that, it would be good, rather than thinking of planning a separate event to happen. That's my thought.
Thank you.
Cheryl?
Yes. So we are actually, we've given $1,000 to David Swanson and his group to be officially added as a sponsor. And then there's sponsors and then endorsers. I forget which we are, but we're the one.
Sponsors. We're
Sponsors.
listed as sponsors of both the Peace Walk and the NATO, no NATO, yes,
Right.
peace.
So you and I just in the chat now, Martha has reminded us about the Peace Walk, which we are going to talk about later. So that's another event looking, to create a buzz and have publicity all the way down the East Coast as these people walk from Augusta, Maine to DC. So I think based on our $1,000 that we've given and our chutzpah, we should approach David Swanson. And I don't know if he's old enough to have been at The Hague. I suspect not.
No, I don't think so.
Right. And try to see if he can add this. There's events in DC that are happening in buildings, real in-person events. So Alan, I think it's up to you, but maybe through an intermediary. Now, Diane, you're the one who's been talking to David Swanson about this, right?
Yes.
Do you think you could be an intermediary here and introduce him to Alan and then let
I
them?
would, but
David
Alan,
and I know each other. I should just call him up and carry
David? Oh,
carry
excellent.
this on.
Excellent.
And
Right,
and Odile is on the board of World Beyond War.
yeah,
This all fits together in some way. What I'm saying is, yes, all the things that are going on. There's going to be a No to NATO meeting in Ann Arbor, and Teresa's tour around the country. She's bringing that to Ann Arbor area. But this situation with what is going on now is so beyond the beyond that some heightened call to all the war powers, just put down a gun and come to the table to talk, as simple as that, is called for. And that's just what I'm putting out. And the occasion of The Hague, where so many organizations did get together, and what they brought forward, it doesn't need a lot of education, just needs to reprint the themes and the principles of 50 propositions that came out of there and add to them in the course of conversation a few more propositions, and we begin to see there is a way to peace. And this war is just absurd and should stop immediately, if not long ago. So I don't need to repeat that again. I just wanted to put it out there because I am putting it out there, and I will carry on with David Swanson. It'll be nice to talk to him and so on. And Diane, if you can facilitate in any way, that's great.
I'll try. Yeah, I'll mention it. So Cheryl, you still have your hand?
Well,
Okay.
as we're going to talk about Gaza any moment now. So, Alan, I'm on quite a few email lists, and twice a day I get emails from some organization who's pleading, for us to send messages to the president, Biden, send messages to your congressperson to bring this damn war to an end. So I see, you're talking about we need an uplifting of people's voices. I see that uplifting is already happening, maybe more in some places than others. And so I don't want you to feel despondent or about that, and people not actually asking
Oh,
for an end.
I'm just saying this encourages uplifting. Everybody is touched very deeply and are being moved. Some people are stuck, but many people are being moved, and that's a reality right now, horrendously generated, that should bring us to a higher consciousness. It's not just this war; it's a whole damn system of domination.
Yeah.
We've got to, care and heal from
Yeah.
this war system, and it's an opportunity to put out a bigger picture, because the picture is bigger than what is just going on.
So we have two other sub-projects that we are involved in various ways. One is Andre Sheldon, who is calling for a women-led peace movement, which I'm helping him try to get important people together for that. And then we have Judith Hand and her committee with their project Enduring Peace, where she's looking for a treaty that would outlaw all wars. So I would also suggest that you talk to them and see where there's some overlap in what they're
Right,
doing.
yeah, I was involved in those previous conversations when they presented, and seems
Mhm.
like all these efforts should just begin to focus together, reinforce one another in some mutually supportive way.
Right.
Mhm. Time, Joan is saying time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been 15 minutes. It got away from me. I thought it was more like 10.
Thank you.
Okay, so the thing listed under the Gaza Israel Well is what did you learn from 12th February WILPF Global Call on Feminist Solidarity and Advocacy for Palestine? Does anybody have anything to say about that? Cheryl?
Right. Also ahead of it, I said report on your recent actions on this war, which I think maybe we could do first, because I'm very proud that I was able to show some big signs to President Biden as he drove in and out of the foothills near my house. And I got more people out there because I just wrote to a whole bunch of people, having worked out there was only one road into this house. And I worked out various ways, approximate timing. So, and I did send you all a disarm discussion email about that with 6 photographs where you could see. And what was so nice was these other people turned up with enormous banners that they have made. It's a Muslim organization based in San Jose. And they actually made a lot of those ones that say, end genocide, save. And I think Ellen's going to probably show you, save Gaza. Apparently they've made lots of these, and what they do, so here's a bunch of them. What they do is they do banner drops over freeways. You know, it's a thing that people like to do. You have a big banner, you hang it on some footbridge or other bridge that goes over a freeway with a lot of traffic under it. They reckon these signs have been seen by 1 million people based on how many cars go by and what have you. So anyway.
I'm sorry, I gotta get us out of here. Okay.
Wow.
Well, they're good pictures. Does anybody else have anything to say about that? Actions?
So that in San Francisco.
But yes, there we go. Sorry about that. Go ahead. In
And
San
we say
Francisco.
thank you, E.T.
Because he was in San Francisco first. So
Okay, anybody else want to say anything about their actions or the call on 12th February, Feminist Solidarity and Advocacy? That was a while ago. I actually forgot a lot, except Madeline Reese was on for quite a while. I
anyway,
believe.
you've
I
got
could
people
just
all over
say,
the
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Robin
who's
Lloyd?
speaking? Oh,
Yeah.
Robin, go ahead.
That here in Vermont on Tuesday, we're having a statewide rally at the State House, and we will be participating in that. And there, all the small towns are holding weekly vigils and so on. So we're
yes,
all
now we can. It's my internet.
And I was just going to say you did a great job on getting your senator to come around. I mean, he's the biggest force in the,
So we've
in
got-
the Senate.
yeah,
Yeah, you really got him to come around. I feel
we
you'd be
did it.
disappointed. Yeah,
Robin, for the notes, what state?
Vermont.
Thank you. I'm just for the name. Okay, got it. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Both senators and our one representative have all supported the ceasefire.
Wow, that's great.
That is good.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So Cheryl, you have your hand up again?
Well, this is referring to the all wolf call that was just after our previous meeting. I did attend. I had to get up at some ungodly hour. Madeline Reese had a lot to say, and I haven't looked at my notes recently, but the thing that stuck with me is we have to go back to the law. Okay, we have to go back to the UN treaties and conventions, the Convention on Genocide. We have to look to the International Court of Justice, who are, as you know, have been working on South Africa. They agreed partially with what South Africa said. They asked Israel to, not to pay attention to the civilians, which they've been ignored. So that was her main message was we have to go to those seats of power that worry about treaties and conventions. And so that's, and of course we have, and that's what WILPF International does, because we have into the United Nations, in Geneva and in New York. We have officers, we have staff who are trying to do that. But the rest of us could try to do that too. And I don't know, anybody else went to that meeting? Robin?
Yeah, well, I would just like to react that it was shortly after the South Africa brought its claim about genocide to the High Court that Israel charged UNRWA with being supporting Hamas, and that took all the publicity. That completely evaporated in the mainstream media any focus on the High Court and the South African proposal. So, I mean, it's so hard to control the media when they have their suggestion of what is relevant. We have to somehow issue our own press releases more often.
Good point. I attended, but I came away basically with the same general feeling and sense that Cheryl had. We've got to remember the laws and keep on pushing that fact. And our letters here in Boston area, we're pretty much saying all of that. We also had a rally organized from mainly the Black Lives Matter group and Mass Peace Action downtown Boston. By the time I got there, I had a conflict. There were still 125 people there. Good singing, heart-wrenching stories from Palestinians. John Connolly, a representative from Cambridge, came out to speak. He is really a good guy on on most, if not all, our causes. And he also reminded us that Somerville and the Commonwealth of Cambridge, where MIT and Harvard is, have been the first two to cease fire of cities. And so I found it inspiring. All ages were there this time. Still the average probably is in their 50s, but there are a lot more younger people. I was very pleased.
Great. And I was on the call, and I got the impression that WILPF International was going to do all this stuff, but I haven't seen anything. I'm not aware of anything that has happened. So I don't know if anybody is. And Gloria, you had something in the chat I saw. And what were you, if you wanted to say something about the media?
Oh, well, I'm leading the new CCS committee, and that is a focus of rhetoric and media, that they want 360-degree dominance. And so we, meaning us, meaning the activist community, have two types of communication. One is intergroup, intragroup, where we're communicating with each other. And the other is external to our groups. And sometimes I think we get lulled into feeling we're doing a lot when we're really forwarding different group things to other group organs. We have to remember visibility for our groups comes from being outside of our infra-group communications. And many things are weighed in against us, which is, you know, the money, what is it called, $1 trillion silencers. So we need to continue to look for loopholes. That's all I had to say.
So Gloria has a part on the agenda and she'll be talking more about this.
Okay, so I think we can go on to Ukraine. Also timeout, I guess. Ukraine, thoughts on the second anniversary of the invasion by Russia and about a ceasefire? Any thoughts, any comments?
Yeah, Gaza and Israel are stealing the show without a doubt right now. And it's upsetting because this is also so important. In my opinion, they're stealing the show. What I've been reading lately is something that's quite disturbing. Oh, I've got to even find it, the names that are involved with this thing that I want to share with you. Basically, have you read or heard anything about Russia having the ability now, and DC is concerned, the ability to knock out our satellites?
Yeah, we've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, and okay, having said that, I think GPS for us, I think of Elon Musk, who, these are all the thoughts that have been coming through my mind since reading all this stuff. Elon Musk wanting to put up several satellites, although it's already very crowded up there. and therefore getting more polluted and more dangerous. You know, they can hit each other. You know, knock out our communications just from the debris from a breakup of one just colliding with another. I would like to hear all of your hearing of this report. It seems like the news that's going out right now is giving, I don't know, the incentive to our governorship, our governance to spend more money on war. Thank you.
I agree. Okay,
Okay. Should I speak before
go ahead,
time is
Phil.
up while you're on the subject? Well, one is that Elon Musk has 4,500 satellites that is orbiting Earth right now. And if you ask me, I think that he could be charged with treason the way he manages the satellites. Eventually, he may be, because you know, a lot of the countries are really concerned with his manipulation of these satellites. And two is that my understanding, or my personal opinion of the conflict in Ukraine, is that the Russians, as long as they have a bullet, will never give up the Crimea. So that's going to have to be part of the solution, basically, and NATO not be, and Ukraine not become part of NATO. Those are the two things that will basically stop in a solution to this war. Thank you.
Yeah, good point. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Gloria and then Cheryl.
Oh, I agree with everything that Philip has said, and all you need to do is read Jack Matlock's book, Superpower Illusions, about, you know, how dangerous it is to be pushing Ukraine into NATO. So Russia will indeed never give up Crimea because it is their access to the Black Sea. Simple as that. And they've had it since the 1700s, one way or another. So it seems to be one of those points that the West seems to think that they can pry loose and shame them into giving it up. But remember, and I'm studying the media, and I did monitor Donetsk TV when the war first broke out in 2014 by using Google Translate. And watching their TV as they were being bombed by Western Ukrainian cluster bombs and everything in 2014 and 2015, those breakaway republics. Remember, each side is in its own island universe of, worldview. So whatever we say here, you're not getting their side. You're just not getting it. It's not like the Hamas-Israel war. We're not getting their side, period.
Okay, Cheryl.
Yes, regarding this, which I think was an overblown worry about something that the Russians might be developing that might be able to hit one of our satellites. Of course, we have the Space Force, the Vandenberg Space Force base, right? So we're already doing that. I just think it's so hypocritical for us to be saying, oh dear, this is what the Russians are planning or already on the way. Our Space Force, to my mind, I haven't looked at all its details, it's doing just the same thing. They want to be able to attack other things that are in space. So that's just my and as Philip said, thousands and thousands of satellites, but there are organizations that track them all, okay, and keep track of where they are. Space is a pretty big area up there, so saying 4,500, they can spread out, okay, and and there are organizations who are responsible for keeping track of all that. And then if one's failing, they can make it come down, into the ocean away from everybody. Rarely does one of or they burn up. They're small enough, they burn up in the atmosphere, and it's only little bits that come down. So anyway, I think that whole thing was overblown. I think today Zelensky admitted 37,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed in the last 2 years. It's the first time they've kind of issued a particular number. And I didn't read on to see how many civilians. And we know lots and lots of Russian soldiers have been killed also. And Putin is bringing people out of prison and forcing them into the army to go serve on the front lines. I did send you yesterday some articles by other organizations with commentary on the fact it was the 2nd anniversary. So if you want to see ICANN's take on it, or the International Peace Bureau, they all have interesting things to say. But we appear to be, nobody's winning at the moment. Nobody wants to come to the negotiation table. So we have to that's what we have to keep asking for. Okay, I think maybe
That's
we should move. We should move.
We got into another aspect of it, so we went a little longer.
Yeah. So the next item is diffuse nuclear war, focusing on ICBMs, and then wondering if we should have Norman Solomon speak. So there's McGregor about ICBMs. Go ahead, McGregor.
No, Philip is first.
I think his hand is left up. Philip, did you want to speak? I have a feeling you never took it down.
I'd like to hear what you say, Philip, before we move on.
I think it's an old hand.
Yeah, me too. It never came down. So I don't know how to put his hand down.
No, oddly enough, Diane, I do not want to speak about ICBMs.
Okay.
What I want to speak about is the Norman Solomon proposal.
Okay.
I would like, instead of, he's already just started a string of events called Make War Visible and End It. And one of the events is being done on March 18th. If you look at your calendar, now it's designed, it's put on by California World Beyond War. So it's designed for California. It will be aimed at California We have so many weapons industries and weapons centers and test centers in California that you could focus on California, and it gives you enough. So it's uncomfortable for people on the West Coast, but any WILFers, not just disarm, if we could promote that and then after that, rather than having competing with himself and wearing him out, it would help build us and help build World Beyond War. And I understand the East Coast, it's too late. It wasn't scheduled for East Coast. It's meant to be California, 7 p.m. our time.
Right.
So-
Is that the 18th? Did you just say, or the 17th?
March 18th.
18th. Okay, 7 p.m.
It
So
is
Day.
Mhm. The point is, he's made himself available to any group, peace loving group, who wants to use his expertise and his excellent speaking abilities to hold a webinar with your group. And so that, and I keep getting these because I'm on their Defuse Nuclear War email list. I get these offers, and I had missed what McGregor just told us about. I didn't realize World Beyond War was already aiming at California. But, you know, we can do it in many months from now. We don't have to do it in the next in the
Right.
next month.
And
It's
I
a thing
think-
we should have. Yeah.
No, I think WILF Disarm should set up the same thing with Norman Solomon on the East Coast with a better time.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's really wonderful
Yes,
because
yes.
he links ICBMs to Gaza in a way that is poignant and real, so that we've got to stop all of this at once. And there's simply no other way to do it, whether it's violence in our heart or a missile over the ocean, it's all one.
So do you want to invite him for a disarm meeting and we could try to publicize it?
I'm
Yeah.
asking you to wait until after March so we don't compete, that we would go for something like May,
Right.
that would be East Coast disarm oriented.
Not during one of these meetings. It will be a separate webinar,
Oh, yes.
advertised, widely, as we did 2 years ago, where we had monthly webinars that we had experts come, and when we were talking about the 1945 timeline.
How about having it on at the end of April during our anniversary of our existence, April 28th? Isn't that the date of the founding of WILF?
I would like to make a counter proposal. Now, whether we do something other than helping promote the March 18th one for the West Coast, there is a person from Diffuse Nuclear War named Emma Clare, who is the expert on ICBMs. She's written the document, which I've been sending out, I'm sorry, the book about ICBMs. I think it would be, people have a lot of opportunity to hear Norman speak. If they're not able to find one of these webinars that are being offered, they're not looking. I think it would be more creative and interesting to have this young woman as the expert, because personally, I'm tired of these engineers. She has a vibrant human approach about what about the people in Colorado? I'm so glad, Bonnie, we have somebody from Colorado, someone who lives in a state that in your state, you have silos with these things in them with hydrogen bombs on the tip. How does that feel, Bonnie? Do people know they're there?
No, yeah, 49. 49. Yeah. No, people don't know they're there.
Some people do.
A few people, yes.
49 silos with Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missiles with a hydrogen bomb, possibly 3, in the tip.
Okay.
I just wanted to honor that. Anyway, sorry, I'll shut up.
Okay, Robin, you go ahead.
No, I like McGregor's idea, and I think the point is we have to advertise this not as talk about the ICBM. People don't know what that is. Talk about the third triad. This is the third triad on top of the submarines and the bombers, right? And we don't have it much over here. We used to have it, I think, in New England. But anyway, understanding that the military actually wanted to get, well, I mean, the person who would come on would tell us about that, but there was a real strong movement in the military to get rid of the third triad, as I recall it. So, you know, I think it'd be wonderful to have all that background and publicize it in that sense.
Okay, so we need someone to approach the person you recommend, McGregor.
I think
Yes,
McGregor's.
Yes. Well, why
Yep.
don't, instead of me being a bully, why don't you look at her documents and see what you think? Look at her writing. And we
I
can
don't
talk
know
about
that-
it and
Yeah.
wait till the next meeting.
I
Okay.
think you haven't you sent that to only a few of us. Some reading. She's written a book, it's about the cost of the ICBMs.
Real cost, hang, give me a sec here.
Yeah. So yes, let's find out. She sounds like a woman who does know what she's talking about, and there's plenty going on. We can, put her later. Thank you, McGregor,
Yes.
for the idea.
Yeah, it's called The Real Cost of ICBMs, and it's available free under Creative Commons. It was published by Global Zero. And if you just put in The Real Cost of ICBMs, you'll see Emma Claire Foley, and this amazing 70-page document will come up. And I think having her be the leadership voice with her clarity, background knowledge, and activism would be exciting for WILPF that is in leadership.
Good. And she might become a member.
Let me send you hang on.
Great. And 70 pages is very manageable.
Yes, it is, especially since a lot of them are graphs or, references, the actual content. And there's a lot about those middle of the country states. I think our friend from Colorado should take a look at it. Let me put it.
Okay, so we have an assignment for before the next meeting. And so now we're going to be on 5 campaign reports, but Gloria has her hand up. So I guess we'll.
Well, I'm not going to let that go, being in Leviathan's Belly, Arizona, with the big R here as ruling our town, Raytheon, for those who are new. Yeah, I mean, these things will convince us. This is rhetoric. People will make wonderful cases. What we need to be addressing is how to convince those who work in these industries not to take those jobs. We spend very little synapse time, brain cells in our groups trying to come up with alternative. I think somebody did point me to some website that ICANN or somebody did of alternatives to producing these. That's the key, because they tend to rule the towns that they're in. They really do. I could go for an hour on that one, but I won't.
Okay.
Just to throw in a reminder that Tim Wallace has wanted the companies to just switch gears and produce something else and retrain folks. I know Raytheon tried that in the past. It didn't make much money. It's obviously making a killing on killing now and unlikely to try it again. But I don't know about the other weapons manufacturers. Maybe the same.
Right. So Timon has written a book, which we'll just briefly touch on item coming up in the agenda.
Yep.
Okay, so we're on 5 and we have 11 current campaigns with leaders and participants. And we want to hear someone who, if you have something new since 11th of February. Okay, so the current campaign, continue to press for disarmament. And this is where we talk about the Oscars on March 10th. So we don't have a meeting when we normally would the next time. So Cheryl, go ahead.
Yeah, so just in e-news that will coming out soon, I hope, there's a reminder for all WILF members, not just Disarm WILF members, to invite your family and friends to come over to your house or your apartment and sit and watch the Oscars coming out, being awarded. Oppenheimer has 13 nominations. At the BAFTAs, that's the British Academy of Film that does an equivalent to the Oscars. I think they won 6 BAFTAs, including a Best Picture and a Best Director. And when Christopher Nolan stood up to accept his Best Director award, he did, during his acceptance speech, mention favorably the many anti-nuclear weapon activists that have been working for the last 70 years to get rid of nuclear weapons. He appreciates the efforts we have put in, and I have lined up an email to send to you all. I haven't done it yet, with the links to where his actual quotes are in some reports. So I'm hoping if he wins the Best Director for the Oscars, that he will make a similar statement. But the point is, you're going to, and then there are 2 documents that we've already prepared. The one we prepared for you to hand out at the cinemas where it was showing, to persuade people who are coming out that this wasn't the end of the story of nuclear weapons. There are now, 12,000 of them, and so on. So it's an opportunity for you to hopefully have an enjoyable evening, but to inform your family and friends, if you haven't already, how bad it is that we have nuclear weapons and what we can be doing. And in that document that are linked in the e-news, you will be able to find all the materials that you need to tell your friends and family about different acts, different bills that we're trying to get through Congress, and so on. So I'm hoping I've been talking about this now for some time, that you will at least invite a couple of people and to come over and sit and watch the Oscars. And I say it's 4 o'clock the Pacific time on ABC is the channel you will find it. I see Gloria's hand. We are going to talk about your stuff shortly, Gloria.
No, this is different. This is about the Hideko campaign, and it is because, unfortunately, as wonderful as it is, Oppenheimer has been given the niche of being a biopic, and that allows them not to have much from the voices of the Hibakusha. And I feel that Hideko is she's history, and we should be doing a lot more for the Hibakusha. We should be doing, I'll say it a second time, a lot more, not just sitting and watching the Oscars. That's good, but we should be finding her gigs to do interviews. That is what she lives for, folks. I'm done.
Okay. I think she's agreeing with that. Okay, so the Oscars are one thing, and then next is Vandenberg, an ICBM test launch protest, and a affinity group, and request $400 for gas money. Lots of different things in here. So McGregor, I think this is your topic. Go.
Yes. Yes. Will somebody else take notes right now? I don't want to have to listen to the dude notes on this section. I should remember it, but I want to be very clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Things are completely different because a committee from Diffused Nuclear War, consisting of Ryan Black, Emma Claire Foley, and Norman Solomon, Hanea Jodia, I don't quite know how to pronounce it, I'm doing my best, who's on staff there, and sometimes other staff, who have taken on the campaign of opposing land-based ICBMs as a way of starting on exposing the whole nuclear triad, because it's a specifically egregious system, since the whole thing is a jobs program from hell because the military didn't want it. I don't want to go over time, but I've been sending out materials you can look at. So this has transformed what's happening. WILF was there first. We were very small and very few, usually just me. But I think we need to, it's up to the rest of WILF to step forward and start participating so that it stays WILF, because people are starting to come. Veterans for Peace is taking a very serious interest in writing articles and talking about it. March 1st is Bikini Day, when Castle Bravo exposed, and Veterans for Peace is doing a program on the February 29th, which I don't know it, but given that Dr. Ivana Hughes, who has done research in the Marshall Islands, I can't believe she's not going to talk about Castle Bravo. And if you're talking about the bomb at the movies, when you're talking about Oppenheimer at the Oscars, before you do that, look up in Wikipedia the original Godzilla, Gorija, and what it was, the working out of the trauma of the Japanese people. That movie was made right when censorship implied by the military occupation of Japan after the surrender, which ended in 1953. The Bikini Atoll explosion called Castle Bravo, which was a hydrogen bomb, was a mistake. It ended up being much bigger than they thought because they used the wrong chemical in the explosion. And the wind, and it encapsulated a Japanese fishing boat called the Lucky Dragon and contaminated Japanese fish, so they were not purchased all over the world. So the people of Japan who had just staggered out of occupation, just staggered out, were hit with the second disaster of their fish, their source of wealth being destroyed. And this movie was made. It's not like the American version. Go on YouTube. It's free out there, and look at the original Godzilla. It is a trauma. It is a trauma. This radioactive monster destroys cities, breathing fire, and the Japanese people run and scream and die. And that's what the movie is. And so if you want to talk about the Oppenheimer movie with your home, show a little YouTube of Gorija, the original Godzilla, and have people think about what that symbol is and how deep that symbol is. They keep remaking it. No matter how distorted, there's a message there. So I'll shut up. But the movies speak to our dreams and nightmares. And whether it's Oppenheimer or Godzilla, they're part of our culture, and people feel about them, and we can use them to talk about these issues. We do not know when the protest will be at Vandenberg, but there will be an educational program around it. Diffuse Nuclear War will put out a press release when the missile goes up, and they have the network to get it published. So it's going to be completely different. What I need from you guys is to make sure the young filmmaker can get there. I need, if we can give $100 for gas, this filmmaker and writer from Los Angeles can be there to make sure it's documented and send you pictures and video.
So I'd like to make a motion that we assign $100 for Leah Yantanon, who's going to drive up from San Diego and will be
she's
Los
coming
Angeles?
from Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay.
The guy coming from San Diego is the president of Veterans for Peace. And he can raise his own money.
Right. So Leah, you know, is a poor filmmaker.
No.
So, and she will make a video, moving video, and also take still photos. And I've seen her in Zoom meetings with McGregor, I think we can depend on her. And so we could also ask her to keep her gas receipts, when she does this trip. So I move that we do, and we had a discussion last meeting. We know we've got quite a lot of money in the bank at the moment. I'd like to move that we assign $100 for this young lady.
Great.
Asking
Is
that-
there a second? I see Robin is seconding it, I believe.
Okay.
So we can
Okay.
take a vote and in favor. I think it might be everybody. Anybody against it? Okay, nobody. It's unanimous then, I believe. And
Mhm.
then, okay.
Well, some didn't vote, but that's,
But it's, well, yeah, I guess you could just say it passed.
Well, they have to speak up if they really disagree.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, it passed. So she has, the money is there. Okay, so I think that we covered that. And so now we're on to 5.2, which is Norton's bill. Anything new on that, Ellen, or?
No, nothing new,
Okay,
except that she made a nice speech.
Which we showed last meeting.
Yeah.
right. Okay. The 5.3 is reports on actions within our various coalitions, Warheads to Windmills book tour of California. And then the whole schedule is included in
Right.
the agenda.
Mhm.
So, and Cheryl says plan to attend.
Yeah, so if you go to that, please go to that schedule. And between the 3rd and the 19th of March, Tim and Wallace, who's written this amazing book called Warheads to Windmills, is going to be, visiting bookstores with copies of the book and giving talks and answering questions. And because they're all in California, I'm going to be writing the next day or two to branches who are in the areas where he'll be speaking and asking them in particular to turn up to these meetings. Now, apparently the one that the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation is sponsoring has already sold out. So they've filled their room. But I don't think they've filled the room in Berkeley and Palo Alto. Unfortunately, I myself am going to be in Minneapolis that week at a physicist meeting, so I'm going to miss, but I'm going to encourage my branch members to go and buy the book. And we've also been asked to write reviews. You get books sold because there are nice reviews when you go to Amazon or Goodreads or Abe's Books. So if you can, if you've already bought it or you're intending to buy it, by and large, they only want to put your reviews on these websites, these booksellers' websites, if you've actually bought the book from them. So that's another thing we're asking members to do. You don't have to have read the whole book. By and large, you're going to say it's full of interesting graphs and diagrams and helps one understand how stopping making and engineering nuclear weapons will help take all the money and the personnel and the skills over to the climate change mitigation area, which is the other existential disaster that is awaiting us all. So that's really all I want to say.
It's a great resource. It really is.
Yes, Eileen's got it. I've got it. And he's done some things in New York already. So he's flying out here to do this California one. Okay, I'm done there.
Okay, so the next item is Gloria. Did you want to say anything more, Gloria, about CCS or?
Yes, well, just briefly. We have an article coming out in the e-news that's our kind of soft launch of the CCS group. And we also are, let me think. Well, we're working very hard, through these restart branches and things to try to map our contacts and trying to get contacts outside of the peace community. Wonderful though they are, newsletters, magazines, and journals. We need to get in with the real mainstream media. And there are ways, but especially PBS. And of course, you've heard me on that before. So that's it.
Okay, I thought that yesterday the webinar was really good, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If I get to mention that, I didn't know if that was too off topic, but we did a webinar yesterday, it seems
Yeah,
ages ago, about Restart Chicago branch. And it went very well. It was slightly smaller, to be honest, in registration than the first one, but it was still about 60 people or 65, I don't know. And what we covered was a very topical issue in Chicago about the flood of migrants being gifted to Chicago from Governor Abbott of Texas. And there are a whole cluster of issues around that: human rights, the inequalities in a major metropolitan area like Chicago, where the suburbs hardly have any immigrants, and the city's poorest neighborhoods are where they are sending them. You have to keep that in mind. That's being replicated all over the country, wherever they are sending immigrants from the border. These cities up in the liberal places that are sanctuary cities still do that. They put them all where the poor people live. So consider that one. That's not generally talked about.
Right. Yeah. So Eileen, did you have anything to say on laws?
Well, I wish I could say, I really, really wish I could say that, hey, all nations got together and they've decided they're not going to continue with autonomous weapons. Instead, I'm going to give you a little bit of an old message that it goes along with Ukraine, since we were talking about that. And bear with me, this is just a couple of paragraphs. The title, it comes from Conversation in Ukraine, how uncrewed, in other words, unmanned boats are changing the way wars are fought at sea. This goes back to March 2023. When Ukraine successfully deployed self-driving drone boats for a major attack on the Russian Navy at Sevastopol in Crimea in September 2022, it was a defining moment that changed the future of naval warfare. They did manage to hit several Russian ships and badly damage them, actually. Since then, the USVs, these unmanned boats, offer a number of advantages over regular manned vessels, which make them attractive to navies. And many countries have been developing or experimenting with them in recent years. The US has invested heavily with a strategic plan to acquire medium, large, and extra large unmanned vehicles to operate both on the surface and underwater. And by 2052, more than half of the US naval fleet could potentially be uncrewed, unmanned. Other navies, and this is the end, are reluctant to be left behind and are actively developing their uncrewed and autonomous capabilities. These include China, UK, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Australia, and others. The competition goes on, I'm sorry to say. That's it.
Yep, it does. Okay, Gloria, again.
Oh yeah, I have a cultural tie-in. When I say we're ruled by Raytheon and by the missile industry, we are. They did a play on Hedy Lamarr. And, you know, she invented the ballistic system. You all know about what Hedy Lamarr did? Are you all familiar with this? The ballistic system?
No, it was radar. It was FM.
Well, you know, it was a frequency modulation, right? System.
Right.
Anyway, the picture for this play, which was done 3 blocks from me, had her riding a missile.
Oh.
She was riding a missile, and everybody was, yay! It was a happy, happy picture of Hedy Lamarr, the brilliant woman, so brilliant, and how she could, you know, design these things. So that is a direct precursor to some of what's going on. I just want you to know that's our entertainment here.
How sad.
Can I
Okay.
mention that Martha has put a very interesting link in the chat, which I will draw your attention to. I hope you're all saving the chat, which I omitted to put in because I only just realized. So on February the 29th, Leap Day, so you have a whole extra day in your time, so you can go to this. So Veterans for Peace is actually having an online webinar about the warheads to windmills project and their strategies. And so I'm hoping that what she's put there might be the link to register. So somebody maybe who's not talking can go just check that. You don't need the UTM source. I always delete those things that say UTM_source, because that's just telling them where you're coming from. But the rest of it will work without that UTM source business. Anytime you get a link that comes to you on an email to you, they're trying to track who's doing what. I always remove that whole section.
You take out everything after the question mark.
After the question mark, yes. Anyway,
and the question mark as well.
and the question, yes, as well. So, could somebody just try and see if that really does get you to a registration?
I can't see a registration. Sorry, I'm looking.
Yeah, it takes you to the.
Where? Oh, down in the bottom in the blue. There, it's there.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So I think this would be an interesting, knowledgeable to hear Timon, and who's the other speaker? It's Ivana Hughes, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, the head of the new president of the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation. So, a worthwhile activity on your Leap Day. Thank you, Martha, for putting that in.
And McGregor?
So we're up to 656.
Well,
Oh,
McGregor
yeah.
has her hand raised.
I just want to make a short announcement about registering for events so that you're not following emails that were sent to you. If you go to the World Beyond War calendar and register through those events, and even better, start getting into the habit of putting your events on that calendar, is not difficult to do. If you have trouble, let's say, Diane, you want to post an event about peace in your town on that calendar. If you have any trouble, I will post it for you. Now, that's not something I offer to very many people because I do have a lot to do, but just to help, the more that calendar is used, the more people will see all the other resources that are very rich, the courses and the book clubs, and they're becoming more international every day. Chapters opening in Africa and Latin America every single week. It's using that calendar and posting your events on it. I will help you. We'll link you to people you don't know so that people can find you, because right now there's a lot of people looking for the peace movement. I know because I've put myself out there and they found me. Some of these people have never been to a peace demonstration. They're looking for us. If you use this calendar, they will find you.
Say again what the calendar, where the calendar, whatever.
It's called World Beyond War.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That you go to events and there's a
Yeah,
way to submit it.
Yeah,
Great.
and calendar. So yes, no, it is very, and it's something they've only started recently, actually, but it's being used more and more. Yeah, thank you for telling us, McGregor.
Yeah, thanks. Okay,
So
so the
Diane?
next thing is peace via treaties. And I know that Judith is here. I don't know if you want to say anything, Judith, but this is
Currently, I don't, we've been a little lax here and following through on some of these things, but I know Judith is an effort going on. Is she
Yeah,
still here?
yeah, I'm here. I just unmuted myself. Project Enduring Peace is kind of in a stall right now. We're still looking to find people on our steering committee. we need to we'd like to have 7 to 13 women. But it requires a lot of commitment. And so we're trying to figure out how to slim down our desires, what we were planning to do, slim it down a little bit so that women don't get the feeling, well, it's just too big a project. It's getting a world peace treaty is something too big, too hard, and I can't get involved in that. So we're slimming it down, but not making any particular progress yet. But I will report that there is another group that is forming, and that will be actually, their focus is on empowering women. But that is 2 of my main focuses, getting peace. And to do that, you have to empower women. It will be a woman's movement. That's why it's called a woman's movement, to get a peace treaty. And this group wants to be a woman's movement. So I'm getting involved with them, and I'm very excited about the potential of seeing if PEP can't work with them. So that's what I would report on. It's called the
Yes, give us the name.
it's going to be called, well, they're just at the beginning too, so they may change their name, but I think it's going to be called the Founding Mothers Movement. This is the beauty of it, mothers, okay? Founding Mothers Movement. It's a woman's movement. And the leadership right now is coming from a woman who founded and is the director of something called the Oracle Institute in Virginia. It's called the Oracle Institute. I never heard of it before, but she's really canny. She's very smart, and she has been at this same idea for about the same number of years as I have been doing it, for over 20 years. And we're finding we have a lot in common. So that's a really exciting prospect right now for peace and for empowering women. And I
Yes.
think, by the way, Diane is also involved in this. And you want to say something about it, Diane?
Well, she's going to be speaking at the next Jane Addams meeting. We're going to have, the topic will be Congress, but then also I wanted her, she's new to WILPF. She had not heard of WILPF until a couple weeks ago. And she has built something called the Peace Pentagon. And she has talked about having a walk from the Pentagon in Virginia to where she's located. She's in Virginia too, but it's 153 miles away. But anyway, she has lots of ideas, and she's submitting something to WILPF International because they came out asking for something. So anyway, she has this really intensive program already thought out, and so it's a great thing, and she's a very enthusiastic member. So it's wonderful to have her.
So
Do you
to
remember
have
her name?
So to have her at the Jane Addams event, I hope a lot of people show up from WILPF to listen to her talk at that next Jane Addams branch Zoom.
Oh yeah, her name is Laura George.
Laura
I'm
George.
sorry.
Okay.
Repeat her name.
Huh?
Laura.
Laura George. She's
Could
a
you-
lawyer.
I'm getting a trio sound. It's overwhelming.
You'll hear about her. It's Laura George is her name, and
Okay.
she's a pastor and she is a lawyer. And so she's very, very ambitious. Let me put it
Good.
that way. You'll be hearing more about her.
And in April, the speaker at the Jane Addams One WILPF call is going to be Helen Jacquard, giving her presentation about the Golden Rule trip around the country in 2023. She did it for Veterans for Peace this week, and they didn't record it, so she's going to come do it for us.
Excellent.
And tell us, Diane, that those 2 dates, the March date and the April date, please. It's the 10th Wednesday. Which is it? You're looking it up?
It's the 3rd Wednesday.
3rd Wednesday. So it's the March the 20th and April the
20
17th.
Excuse me. Yeah.
3rd Wednesday.
3rd Wednesday, March 20th and
April 17th.
Yeah.
Okay. Please, I went to the I've been to these. They're very interesting. Diane does a great job in bringing people to tell us about things. They just get like 10 minutes. We oblige them to cram their information into 10 minutes, and then there's a question and answer period, and then issue committee chairs can speak. I always try to turn up and give a plug for our committee, and so on and so forth. So thank you. All right, so okay, so I think Diane, are you frozen, Diane? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I
Yes,
hear
so
you, but she does look frozen. Her screen looks frozen.
it's frozen.
There, her head moved a little, maybe, or not.
Well, let's go on. We can go on. I'll take over temporarily. We are now on to item 7, VII, which is Robin's opportunity to tell us about what's going on in Africa and maybe things about AFRICOM. And then I have a little story to tell after Robin about Africa. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, here we are looking into issues in the Congo and the fact that WILF, let's see, who was it in WILF? It was Annie, it was the head of the section in WILF that did an extraordinary research on the mining in the Congo. And what we're trying to do here is to connect the terrible conditions that exist in mining in the Congo, which has increased because the banks in the Congo are receiving more money to give out to facilitate more mining to open. And I think, and I'm trying to research this, but I think it's related to the increase in military spending prevalent in almost all countries, so that is happened. So is it, the Bank of the Congo is very upbeat, despite the fact that half the country is at war, right? But anyway, the WILF section did this quite extraordinary report on what they call artisanat mining in the Congo, and I can put that into the chat, where they went out and did research, and it's a very holistic analysis about supply lines and all of that. So I'm trying to get in touch with Annie. I'm not sure of the rest of her name. I have sent an email to her, and maybe Mary Louise Fourret, Marie Claire Fourret. Does anyone have more of a contact with her? Those, to my mind, are the two women in WILF, and then there's a woman in Boston as well that have contacts in the Congo, so that I can plug it into our little webinar we're going to do here with other folks. So that's the main report for me from on the issue of the Congo. And in terms of AFRICOM, yeah, things are bad, but I don't know we haven't had any movement here in terms of our activism on that.
Thank you, Robin. So
Robin,
you're going to put something.
I put Julie's Kabuyani's info. I'm putting that in the chat right now for contact. Okay. By the way, the town she's living in is in an upheaval school-wise. It's called Racism and Letting Teachers Go. And now they brought in the National Guard to quell the violence. It's been
Where? What town?
Brockton, Massachusetts, where Julie lives right now.
Brompton with a B?
Brockton. It's the
That's where Michael teaches.
yes, Michael teaches near there, but he's in the union that has been working some of these issues out. It covers a region. It's a mess. Yeah, we're hoping to have Michael speak about this at our next branch meeting, which comes up the first Saturday of next month. FYI, this is Michael Ippolito. I'll give you her phone number too in the chat. Okay, Robin?
Yes, good, except tell me how to save the chat, because I used to know how to do that, and now I click around, I don't see how to save it.
If I were you, just copy and paste it.
Well,
You can't do that.
down at the bottom of the chat itself, there are three little dots.
Probably.
Probably.
Are you on an iPhone or a laptop, Robin?
I'm on a computer, on a Mac.
Right. Okay, the Mac's different.
Can you see the three little dots at the bottom that?
You have the chat window open?
It's in the middle on the bottom, Robin, on my Mac. You can barely see them on mine.
Yes, they're very, there's like 5 little icons, including a smiley face.
Yeah.
And then a downward arrow and then 3 dots. But I always save the chat and I can make it available, as, I'm sure. So I just see McGregor has said she has to leave. Would somebody else take over taking some notes for the minutes? Because we still have quite a lot of items to cover. But for some reason she has to go. Would somebody try to take some notes, please? So Diane, we noticed you disappeared, you froze. So we went on to Robin's section, but you're back. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
I have another story about Africa that I read in my today's newspaper. The headline: Africa struggles to protect its donkeys from China harvests. Okay, so donkeys are a very important animal, work animal, in all of Africa. As you know, China has got itself all over Africa, bringing money and projects. But apparently, Chinese like to slaughter donkeys for their hooves, because inside their hooves there is a particular gelatin. Well, there's gelatin on the hides, and then there's an even more special thing in the hooves, which they have used in traditional medicines, popular sweets, and beauty products. And they used to slaughter their own donkeys in China for these products. But now, because they're all over, and they bring their factories and what have you into Ethiopia, for example. And so Ethiopia used to have the largest population of donkeys in all of Africa. There is an organization called Donkey Sanctuary, and somebody did a research trip, found that the used to be N million, and now it's 1/10 of that. Donkeys they're slaughtering the donkeys, and the Africans are upset about this because they depend on the donkeys for various things. So just to point out, we aren't the only. The West is not the only country or part of the world that is going into Africa and taking its resources. We often talk about that. Robin's talking about mining. I suspect cobalt is part of that story.
Yeah.
But here we have donkeys. Who would have thought? But it was in the New York Times the last few days, and my local newspaper reports on things. It takes interesting articles. So the industry for getting this particular product, it's called Ujiwao, EJIAO, EJIAO. It's the vendors of traditional Chinese medicine say it's good for you. Health people say there's no truth in that. And they consume between 4 million and 6 million donkey hides a year to produce enough for the 2 billion people who live in China. So it's just just so sad. Donkeys are used as farm animals and to transport things in Africa. Here, the Chinese come and slaughter them for a not actually ever proven type of medicine. It's the same as what they did to tigers. I'm sorry, they slaughter tigers for similar reasons. For
Philip has
traditional
his hand
Chinese.
raised.
Cheryl, can you tell me the date of that article? I seen the headline in the paper,
Yeah,
but
I
it
can't tell you the
disappeared.
date. Yeah, I
You know,
can't
it
tell
just-
you the date. Mhm.
Okay, unfortunately, it disappeared from the digital
Right.
version before
But
I got
it's
a
in-
chance to read it.
It's in today's San Jose Mercury News.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
They
Yeah.
they repeat some of the articles from the New York Times. Anyway,
Okay.
I just
And also, since you said China, beware, everyone. The Chinese government is reconstituting the Red Guard. They're doing it in a slightly different fashion. They're calling it something different. But you know, these were the people that turned China upside down during the Cultural Revolution. And they are actually forming the units within inside commercial companies. And so all state-owned companies have to form these militant units within their companies. And also so-called private companies are now being compelled to form these cultural units, militant units, basically to suppress social dissent. So beware, it's coming. It's the biggest thing I think that the Chinese government is doing in the last 30 years and is going down the wrong road, of course. So be aware. Thank you.
thank you.
Wow.
Can you clarify, Philip, is that a suppress dissension within the companies that they're working in? Or on the street?
So it shows they're being put into place to quell any social disturbances in their cities, towns, or villages.
I see.
So yeah, it's rather disturbing. And I read the article in the Financial Times, and you know, I don't have the date, but very, very scary.
Okay, yes, lots of scary things. Gloria, you have your hand up. Oh, Diane, you're back and you can take over back
Yes,
now.
Okay.
I would like to request permission to share screen when it's appropriate, because I think that what you're saying about China, we're on the road here in Tucson. You cannot say anything against missiles. And I want to show that picture. I did find it.
Right. Maybe when we finish, when we get down to number 7, any other business? Okay. Because we need to move on to,
Fine.
we need to move on to the 5-8.
5-8, yeah. But Nancy isn't here and Odile is not here. And so the next item, 8C, is no to NATO and the walk. And you have here that we need a new volunteer to contact appropriate branches.
Yeah, because Pam Richards said she was going to do it, and then she sent, I don't know if she sent just me or all of you. She said her regrets. She has too much work to do for her peace action. So she's removing her volunteering to help take WILPF branches, right? So the schedule's there, they're coming down Maine. Now, last time Eileen said you would look at the Massachusetts section. Thank you very much. But we really need somebody who will look at the schedule, the whole itinerary, and say, oh, we have a branch near there. Oh, we have a branch near there. And just get them to be involved, because there are a variety of ways one can be involved. So is there somebody who feels they've not got enough to do? This is between now and it starts April the 27th, but really we should have things, you know, in place ahead of time. We are an endorser of this walk, and one of our responsibilities in that position is to get people out, to provide help, to provide places to stay or find places to stay, you know, put people together. So I'm not going to be able to do it. Anybody else want to step up? Twist your arm.
Cheryl, just to let you know, Boston group is small and we're the only branch functioning in New England.
Mhm. There's a
And,
main,
Ginger Harris, who's now on the board, is willing to help.
Mhm.
And it may be just, pitch your tent in my backyard. And I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. I'm gonna try. It looks like Philip's hand is up, though.
I think that's from before.
Oh, again, okay.
We have a main branch, right? We have a main branch. I thought which was still somewhat alive. No, you're shaking your head, Eileen.
No, we haven't had ask Martha about this. I think she's our major contact there. The branch kind of dissolved and she has, I don't want to speak for you, Martha. Speak up, please.
Yeah, please, yes, Martha. You see, you're unmuted.
I'm
She's
supposed
not
to be
muted.
I'm supposed to be at the Zoom meeting right now. Veterans for Peace Maine are just meeting right now about organizing for that event. So
Great.
I'll report back, but I have to scoot right now. Speaking
right.
of the devil, but I know I'm not going to be able to extend past the borders of Maine just because it's a massive amount of work. I'm sorry to say.
But if you can do Maine, that would be great. Because Maine is, it's quite a distance between Augusta to Portland. I was looking at the map. If you could do Maine, that would be great, Martha.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
we're now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Eileen,
So
and
now,
Eileen will do something and then it comes, doesn't it go close to Pennsylvania?
it
I mean,
goes through Pennsylvania, yeah.
There's
So
also
we have,
Connecticut and New York before that.
so we have branches in some of those places. We just need someone to, look at branches, look at the thing and just write to the branch and ask them to do something.
Well, Tina Shelton is pretty active and she's got a
Yeah.
lot of energy and I believe
Right.
she's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fine. All right. Well, let's somewhere we'll get something going. Thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I can work on it and others too, so.
Thank you,
yeah.
Diane. Yeah.
Okay, so that is the no to NATO, yes to peace, I think, unless somebody wants to say something else. And then Odile is not here for the weapon-free zone. And Eileen and Nancy, arrangements for WILPF Congress.
Yeah. How's it
Well,
going, please?
The bottom line is we're going virtual. Oh, and I have to correct something. New England wise, Boston is not the only branch. We have Burlington, but I mean on the route. That's what I really was saying, Robin. No insult,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, all
You've
right.
got a bigger branch than we have.
But they don't go through Vermont.
That's my point. Yeah, and that's why I said what I said, but I should not have said New England because Vermont's part of New England.
Thank you.
Tell us about Congress, Eileen. You just said something that sounded quite upsetting.
Yeah, it's going virtual and we're going to be talking about how we're going to work out the virtual. The vote went through our committee this week and then it was brought to the steering committee yesterday. I hope Diane could fill in because you were probably there. Philip?
No, I wasn't allowed. It's a steering committee meeting. It's closed to anyone who's not one of those people. So I was not there yesterday and then supposedly no decisions are made.
I don't know who's on the steering. In the past, long ago, when I was on the board, the steering committee was almost the same as the board. And I don't know, is Philip on the steering?
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
Philip.
But Eileen, there's not supposed to be any decisions made at a steering committee meeting.
Okay, allow me to correct the record here. There was no decisions made at the steering committee meeting. What was said was that the committee that is organizing the Congress, they decided to go all virtual. They took a vote within their committee. And then the steering committee was asked just for their opinion, whether they thought if they had any objections to it going all virtual, but that's not a vote. It was just a commentary. So at this point, it's basically up to the board and up to the steering committee, I mean, to the committee that is running the Congress or organizing the Congress. But basically, nobody, well, I don't know what all the opinions were on the steering committee, because they were just asked today to comment on it.
Oh
So-
dear.
Are we out of money? Do we have to pay the hotel stuff and everything? I mean, it's
No,
kind of late.
it wasn't about money in principle. It was basically I cannot speak for that committee, but they
I-
felt
Yeah,
that
that's why I'm asking Eileen.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Phil, for at least adding your side of this.
opinion. It's not my side. It's my opinion. Trying to convey what has transpired. That's all.
Yeah, thank you for that. Most of us really wanted a combined both in-person and virtual. And the more the money was mounting for the technology, we were unable to have many meetings that could incorporate most of WILF. And that was always very important to me. If we were going to have virtual and in person, that's the ideal, but we really can't afford it. The prices of everything, food, well, the lodging would be picked up by individuals. It makes the registration fee $500, $600, and we don't have the ability in general to fundraise. That's the part I was hoping on, and I was looking for answers from people who are good fundraisers, and we couldn't find a way to come up with enough money to subsidize the people who can't afford to travel and go. And the cheapest way that everyone democratically, now this is really why I switched my vote, because I really want to go to Minnesota, by the way. I really want to go back. And this was a heartbreak. I had a lot of plans in mind. I want to go to see, anyway, I sidetrack, obviously. It seemed if we're going to be really democratic and include everyone who wants to come, including bringing in outside people, like I'm going to a couple of colleges and talking about the Congress and our talk about water contamination to the environmental groups at Northeastern and BU. If we want them to pay, I don't know, about $50, it's a way of bringing in extra money. That's the only way we can be democratic so everyone could attend. Otherwise, we were getting 50 to 60 people, and that's not a good show. It really isn't. So the vote was more like 6-4, or 6-3, I think, and one abstained. D abstained. Well, I shouldn't be telling you who, but it was one of those heartbreaking decisions for me and others.
Wow. Okay, Cheryl.
Yeah, so this is all news to me. In the past, we didn't have Zoom. We had congresses in person. Whoever could come came.
Yeah.
So now suddenly we're making all our decisions, flavored by this possibility that more people could come in virtually. Now, I've offered my services to have Zoom, to show by my Zoom panels and and plenary sessions at no cost. And I thought some other people were offering to do that. So how did you come up with only 60 people were going to come? I haven't been asked yet if I'm coming. There hasn't been a registration website for me to show my intention. I was about to buy my plane ticket. So Eileen, where did the 60 come from?
The person who mentioned 60 the most was D. Because I told her 3 people will be coming from Boston, if not 4, because Ginger's coming with her significant other. That makes an extra, and he recently became a member. I don't know where she got 60, but I thought things were moving right along because of the some of the locals who are going to be coming might be paying on a daily fee, which if or attending the Congress, and they have no traveling to do. You know, they're within an hour or half an hour from St. Paul. I can't answer that. I really
Right, I know, but nevertheless, there was a vote taken of the program committee, and it was not unanimous, but there was a vote that said, no, we'll just go virtual. And
Yeah.
then,
Or-
but how do you, excuse me? Okay, so we've, you know, just to take our issue committee as an example, we have given you our presentation request, which is to show a video and then have a discussion. So yeah, you can show a video just on Zoom. So it would be zoomed and everybody would be sitting at home and there would be some central, like we did it last time, right? We had an all virtual Congress
Right.
3 years ago. So we know
Yeah.
it can be done. We know it can be done. But anyway, it does seem disappointing. Diane and I she'd already booked us a room in the hotel to share a room. So,
Well, we were going, but we weren't able to book yet. There wasn't a way to book it. So, yeah,
okay,
they said they were coming out the end of February with stuff. And then
okay, so
I
you
was
haven't
looking all over for how to do, anyway, it's
Right.
what it is. Okay.
So
Thank
apparently
you
this
for telling us
decision
about
was sent to steering committee
Let's
who
discuss.
were informed about it. And so, and now they are supposed to give some opinion, which they haven't yet, apparently. So hi, Odile. So anyway, well, this is, the dates would not change though.
That's right.
Eileen.
I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to change. I've got so many other things already booked. Can't picture me even attending if the dates change.
Right. So,
Right. Yeah, no,
okay,
they need to stick with the same dates.
right.
Okay, well, quite interesting. Thanks, Eileen.
So I presume we all need to keep our eye on e-alerts and messages from Central WILF.
Darian,
About this?
I did talk with Darian, you know, a few hours, well, later this afternoon, and she's drafting an e-news today or tomorrow, and she gave me the impression it pretty much is going to be virtual.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's because the board was going to meet, right? There was going to be an in-person.
That's
Before
an-
and after. Yeah.
And if you don't meet, that saves even more money this year when we're very over budget.
But it takes
Yeah.
away from the advantages of having a board in-person meeting.
True.
Very right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay.
Well, I
Oh,
think
dear.
what might happen is you might have a board meeting at my house again then in July.
Well, that'll be a pleasure. If I can get down there, I'm sorry, I should say that.
Yeah.
I may work Massachusetts and be exhausted and not make it.
Well, that's okay. Well, that's interesting. Odile is here, I see though. And Odile, you have a couple of things to talk about. Is that true?
You're muted.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I was working. So I made an e-news that speak about Gaza, and it speak about what happened to the people in Gaza, but everybody knows by now. And it speak about why the US policy is so no human rights and no ceasefire because of the arms transfer. So it feeds the American worker and the US corporation. So anyway, I found a very good article from AFSC. And I list a lot of the guides from Disarm at the end of the article. And it was good because none of the Middle East Committee knew about the Disarm guides. Even so, we told them about the Middle East Disarm guides that we did. You remember, Cheryl? But anyway, so I posted that at the end of the article. I hope the editor will not take everything away, but I don't know yet. So anyway, that's what we did. It was on people's transfer and arm transfer.
Okay, so that's the Gaza. So we, okay, so I, just looking at the agenda, Diane, I see we would, Pam isn't here, right? Pam Richard isn't here to talk about ANA.
Right.
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 But we do know that there will be a meeting in May in DC, what they call their DC days. And previously we've published some registration form about it. Ellen, you are or you aren't going? Ellen Thomas. I think she's, are you going to the ANA meeting in DC this year?
No.
No, okay. But Pam will, and Pam will report back to us, I'm sure. So can we go, so the next thing is the divesting campaign, which Odile, can you see in the agenda? I've
Well,
put
that's
you,
what I finished my article, is that we needed to divest
okay,
in the e-news. So the e-news should have been made by the Disarm Committee and the Middle East Committee, but since I am in both committee,
right.
it was on both subjects. It could be from Disarm or from the Middle East Committee. And it's a lot of things about Disarm that the Middle East Committee doesn't really know, because it's the same problem than with Disarm, is that the agenda is very full and we don't have time to do. We have to create some committee where it's just discussion on certain topics.
So we have an e-news too, and we have things that we've asked people, you know, we mention all the wars and things that people can be doing.
Good. And the war system, and start a culture of peace, yes.
Right. So, but there is a new report coming out of ICANN, which I put in the agenda, the actual link that Susie Snyder has is pointing us to, which is every year this special group looks at how many companies are involved in nuclear weapons and weapons in general, and how people are divesting. And apparently, if you go to that website that I gave you there, you can actually find the PDF of the report. But the good news is there are investment companies and funds who are dropping out of investing in places like Lockheed and Raytheon. Okay, so this organization keeps track of where people are not investing anymore, which of course is the whole point.
Yes.
So I would like you all to, try to spend a few minutes with that particular brand new. It just came out last week, and we will, Odile and I will try to think of other things that we can ask you to do. But it's all part of the same.
Maybe we can
story.
update the guides that we made on this topic.
So
Maybe
we
can update it.
Yes, so there's the one that was specifically about the Middle East and how much money we send to Israel. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Right, because Diane and I
but there was an extra. There was an extra thing in the fall of 14 billion. Yeah. Anyway.
Right. So.
And it's all buying arms in United States, basically.
Right.
The aid to Israel is about buying arms. except one part of the aid is about for Israeli, the arms that Israel makes, because Israel now makes many weapons also that they sell all around the world.
I must say, you say they don't know, but I have tried to point to them to that old article, resource guide. I'm sure in the last few months I've reminded some of the people on the Middle East committee about it.
I think we should have like a flyer. So at the Congress, we can pass this flyer about all the guides that Disarm has done.
Right. Well, on our new website, which is just leaping ahead, we are designing a new website for Disarm. All the issue committees are designing a new website. We are updating all the information there. We are updating some of the resource guides that we wrote 3 or 4 years ago. And we are also disappearing some of them because they're not relevant anymore. So we are trying, this new website that we've been talking about for over 2 years. It's inching its way forward, and we hope there's a professional person who's supposed to actually do the coding to make it appear. So we're getting very
we have
close.
somebody new on the pictures, Bonnie Graham.
Yes, she is from
Hello, Bonnie.
Colorado.
Oh, Colorado, very nice.
Okay.
Yes, I met you in Boulder
Okay.
in 2017, I think it was.
Oh, at the ANA?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's the only time I have ever gone to Boulder. It was to the ANA meeting.
Right, right.
So, okay, it's good you remember better than me.
Yes.
Your name was vaguely familiar, but your face I didn't recognize.
Yes.
All right. So Diane, I think we can go on to 6.
Okay, I think so too. NS committee support project reports. And so Ellen, as treasurer, do you want to say something? Oh,
Just a new account balance, maybe?
okay, given that Ellen isn't responding, so you want to give a report on the Disarm website? You kind of sort of mentioned it already,
I
Cheryl.
just did, yes. I just skipped up to that because we
Yeah,
were
that's
talking.
what I thought.
And
Okay.
I don't have
So then
anything new to add about the treasurer's report from last month.
Okay.
Did
So
okay. So some of the, I mean, I sent money specifically for Disarm. Have you actually seen it turn up yet?
No,
Okay.
but she doesn't send me information unless I request it, so.
Okay. Fine. Well, we've anybody can make a donation to WILF and designate it to our particular committee. So that's, something, or you can ask if your friends say, what shall I give you for your birthday? You say, well, I don't need any more gewgaws. Just send $50 to WILF, please. So, or if you're going to turn 80, give $80 to WILF. So that's one way of dealing with birthday gifts. All right. So
okay. So then the next thing is just the next meeting is at the 31st of March.
and I will be on a cruise ship on my way to the Mexican Pacific coast, on my way to a total solar eclipse that you will be hearing about on the 8th of April, because it goes through Mexico and then it goes through Texas and then it goes through Arkansas and then Toronto. It's near Toronto and it ends up in Newfoundland. Anyway, so I as some of you know, I go to total eclipses. I choose where the weather is predicted to be the best with least cloud cover. Anyway, and the Wi-Fi on cruise ships is very expensive. And So I will not be attending that 31st of March meeting. I leave a few days ahead to get on the boat in San Diego. I will promise I can set up an agenda for you. But you all, I'm sure,
thank
will
you.
manage without me quite well. And the 10th of
We'll
March,
manage
the 10th of,
Cheryl,
yes,
come to Burlington, Vermont. The eclipse is passing right
yes,
over here,
right
and I have a beautiful porch, and I even have some beds which I'm reserving for WILF people. So if anyone,
thank you. Yes, I wanted to,
let me
yeah.
know.
No, I'm going to be in Mexico off of the coast of Mazatlan on a ship. But I
Because
did want
that's the
to
best
make,
place.
yes, it's the least cloud cover of the whole trip, the whole Shadows path. But yes, Robin, I was going to mention that to you. I'm glad you, believe me, any town that's in the total shadow where you will get to see the corona, you only get to see the corona if you're really under the central part of the shadow. And Burlington is right in that area. So
What does it do to you?
Oh, it makes you feel marvelous. It makes you, it's an awesome experience because suddenly you have a hole in the sky. We call it a hole in the sky. It looks like a big black hole, round. You know, it's the size of the moon, whatever the moon, because it's the moon covering the sun. So
It's frightening, though. It's scary.
some people get scared. Many cultures, they bang pots and pans and make a lot of noise to make sure that it goes away. So it's and then you see these wispy white trailers coming out from the sun. That's the corona. And while it's total, you can look at it without any filters, without any special glasses. But up to then and after that, you have to look through those special glasses that they tout when the shadow is going to be near you. So parts, the rest of you, some of you will see maybe 50% of the sun covered. California, I think it's very small.
Colorado should be nice.
Yes. So anyway, it'll be my 16th total eclipse. So then I did promise Gloria that she could share her screen and show
I
us.
also have a painting of the last eclipse because I was there in Oregon. So
Yes,
I might even show you that as a
Great.
bonus.
Right, I was there.
I will show you my painting. All right.
Right,
Well,
That's when the dinosaur come out.
if you are ready, I don't know, it takes some getting, have you made me able to share?
I think you can. Everybody can share screen. Robin, Ellen sets it up.
I don't. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll see if it works.
See if it works. Just to continue, I'm taking 3 other couples with us on the ship. 2 of them who went to Oregon, who'd never seen one before, and many people get hooked on seeing them once they've seen one. But it's also an excuse to go to foreign lands and visit foreign lands and learn their culture and their history. So we're now waiting, this is going to be Hedy Lamarr, who is, you know her as a film actress, but she was also...
Can you see it is my question.
Not yet.
Yes.
Here we are.
My gosh. This is what we had for Christmas in Tucson. I want you to see this and really think about it and who runs our town, because any theater company will censor everything that is critical of missiles. But we had this little package, a nice little, and it's really literal. I can walk there with the little theater. Otherwise they do some good things, but I couldn't believe it when I got my mail. In the mail, I got this for the Christmas holidays. And
right. I'm not sure.
It isn't just this. I want you to think, because
she's laying on a missile.
Listen, folks, I'm trying to make some rhetorical points here. We're all on the big issues. We're not dealing with culture. Culture is what makes the politics and the other things palatable to people. And this was so isn't it cute? And look what it is. And look who supports that theater in a town like Tucson.
I
It
can't
is,
see
I'll
it.
tell you, who has the money to have the season tickets and be donors. And I also wanted to do theater here on things that would not be palatable, shall we say, and the way I did it, and I'm gonna say a word for technology, is we have the Planet Zoom players. We record on Zoom and we put them up on YouTube. And we did one very peace-oriented play by H.G. Wells called The Crystal Egg. It's a totally different kind of theater. It would have never been put on in Tucson. So we got around, we outflanked these people by using technology, because in-person theater, the kind that people say is more human, you know, that's what they're doing. And we're doing our more peace-oriented stuff and tolerance-oriented stuff by technology. So let me get out of this, and I could
So just let me understand for the minutes. Let me understand for the minutes, Gloria. That was an actress playing Hedy Lamarr.
That was an actress in this one-woman show. I think it was called, actually, to be correct, in Austrian, it should be Haiti.
Haiti.
Haiti. So it was called Haiti, I believe. And I can give you the whole text of their blurb. But I thought maybe you'd like to see the eclipse painting also. So while you're wrapping up, I can try to pull that one up.
So any other business while Gloria's looking for her painting of the eclipse that I saw in Oregon? I took 12 people to that, and we had it was very good. It was very clear, and it's, as I say, I use it. You know, I've been to Easter Island, I've been to Hawaii, I've been to China, I've been to Korea, all these places, the Faroe Islands, in order to see total eclipses. But then you also get to visit Argentina, and so on and so forth. So it's my excuse for traveling. And now
I just want to say I'm serious. If any of you
go to Vermont,
come up to Burlington, I have a bed, maybe a few beds. I know that the Unitarian Church here, all the members are offering places to stay and charging people and then giving money to their church. So people in Burlington are very revved up about this event. And we have a beautiful lake to look at the eclipse over the Lake Champlain. So let me know. Give me a call.
I recommend it. I can't recommend that the weather. One of the exciting things about it is you're never quite sure what the weather's going to do, and if you're in a ship, as we will be, a big cruise ship, they have all the radar and all the technical facilities to see what's going on, and you can actually move the ship as time comes for the the whole thing takes about 3.5 hours. It takes a time for the moon to cover the sun, and then the totality is, I don't know, 2 minutes or so, and then another 1.5 hours to uncover. So if you're on a ship, you can move. If you have a car and you know what the weather's like over the hill, and the road isn't clogged with all the other people looking for a clear sky, you can move. So thank you very much, Robin, for offering your some beds. Anybody wants to go there. So here we are. Yes, look at this photograph, this painting.
This is lovely. Oh, it really is. I like it.
Great. Yeah. Now that actually Oregon didn't have all that snow, I combined it with another model for the water. But I thought it was more dramatic to have like ice flows there.
That's right. It was in the summer. It was very hot.